Hey, good afternoon, guys. I am recapping last night's Mentor Monday call because our recording didn't work. So I know some of you were busy with activities with kids and things like that, and our recording was a dud. So it's Tuesday, but I'm going to go over Mentor Monday stuff with you, and I'm going to upload it. If I think everybody knows me. If you don't know me, my name's Catherine Case, and my little oil biz is called Essential Oils Daily. We have been using oils for about 6 years, and I'm currently a gold with doTERRA. I started my business a few years after I started using the oils. So the oils were something I was already integrating into our home, and I was already sharing them kind of casually. And then I needed to make a change for my family, and I needed to be home with them. And so we started doing the business too. So I have really small ears. So these earbuds always fall out of my ears for some reason. They don't fit in there. So anyways, little known fact, small ears. So I'm going to share my little PowerPoint with you guys so you could see. Share screen. And should be popping up here in a second. There we go. Got it. So Mentor Monday, it's Tuesday, it's nap time, and all is quiet and well here. So the topic for the Mentor Monday call was 4 likely obstacles you might be facing if you're trying to build your doTERRA business and it's not going anywhere. So first, we're going to discuss what it's not. We know it's not the product because you love your oils, you tell people about them, you love supplements, you use all the personal care, you've transitioned everything in your house to be doTERRA stuff. So it's not the product because you already use it and love it. And you love how they're sourced. So when you're using, like I always, especially the cardamom story, when I use oils, I think of where they're grown, and I think of the people who are growing them and what it means for their lives. So when I'm using vetiver, I'm thinking about the farmers there in Haiti who had their lives changed when doTERRA came in with co-impact sourcing, and they were able to get a livable wage, we're getting a better product. So before they were harvesting the vetiver too soon, it was not a very good product. And they weren't getting a great wage. So they were only getting paid when they harvested it. Therefore, they were harvesting more frequently and creating an inferior product. So doTERRA came in, formed a co-op, talked to them about getting them paid throughout the process. The vetiver could stay in the ground 18 months to where it's an ideal oil that could be produced from it. And the quality of life improves for everybody. So I always think of those stories and what we're doing in Nepal, what we're doing in Ecuador, and the things that are on the horizon too. So we know it's not that. That couldn't be the obstacle. We feel good when we buy those things. And we know it's not the opportunity because doTERRA's compensation plan is one of the best in the industry. You can get paid when you first start by getting those fast start checks, which are 20% of anything you sell people. Like when people sign up with our new wholesale membership, you get 20% for the first 60 days. So you get paid that way. You get paid 25% on retail. You get paid for the Power of 3 bonus. You get a unilevel bonus, which is our long-term. That's how we get paid long-term. And doTERRA's plan is opposite of most, where most companies are going to pay you the most on your first level of members. So you would try to probably keep the most people on your first level. Well, doTERRA pays you the least on those, and they pay you more as you build down in your organization. So it's a blessing to me to build down. It's a blessing to my downline when I build beneath them. And everybody wins. So, and the reason why that makes sense and why it kind of exponentially grows our checks is because we're never going to have too many people on our front line. The most people you should have would be probably like 6 or 8 people on your front line. And that's when you're looking at like presidential diamond. So, and then you're going to have more people down on your 7th level. You know what I mean? So your tree is going to grow down, 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 like deep roots, and it's going to benefit everyone. And that makes a huge difference. So the opportunity is not standing in our way. And doTERRA is experiencing, they just did some market research. They hired a group called Cicero Group to do some market research for them. And they discovered some really encouraging news. So our potential is untapped, basically. Even though we kind of feel familiar with the doTERRA brand, a lot of people have not heard of it yet. So here is a little map that's showing different regions in the U.S. So a lot of my team, this is where the Rocky Mountain region is where doTERRA started in Utah. And then, so those people are most familiar with the brand. And most of my team's in Ohio because that's where I started. And then we have some in Tennessee, which is where I live now. We have a few in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Texas. So most of us are in this little sweet spot here where, you know, this is, all of these are actually failing grades. If you're a teacher, that's actually good news for us though, because that means we have a lot of room to grow, and you can put yourself in the position to be a leader in this this field. So it's really interesting and encouraging to look at that. I have linked in our leaders group, I linked the video with all of these. These are just some screenshots that I took of the highlights, but you should watch that. It's an Ask doTERRA video, and it's in the leaders group. 66% of people have never used essential oils, and more than 50% would like to try them. So that's where you come in. The potential consumers are interested in, these would be their priorities if they were going to try essential oils. It would be, do they work? Yes. Are they pure? Yes, that's where we come in. And are they therapeutic grade quality? And yes. So according to the research, these untapped consumers would be interested in these reasons. And that is exactly where doTERRA is the strongest. So that's good news for us. Okay, so we know it works. We know the product works. We know the opportunity works. And we know that there's untapped potential for growth. So what's holding you back? So the first two, we have 4 things that are holding you back. These are based on my experience. These are based on questions my team leaders have asked, and these are based on just kind of some generalizations. So if there's something that I'm not addressing here, we could talk about that in our individual mentor calls. And I'm sure we'll be able to find some ways around whatever's holding you back. But these are probably the likely ones. So the first one is fear. A lot of us have, fears that are just holding us back. So we're afraid of failing. We're afraid of looking silly. We're afraid of asking someone to host an event for us. We're afraid of offering a sample. Like, are people going to think we're weirdos? Are we afraid of speaking in front of a group? Public speaking is like the number one fear people have. So what do you do with fear? The truth is everybody's a little bit afraid. And if you're not, then you're probably kind of full of yourself, right? So, I'm afraid every time I stand in front of a group, but it's just the way our bodies get ready to perform. So I love, Michael Hyatt says that all the time. I listen to his podcast. That's a good one to listen to. He talks about, he used to get afraid to speak in front of groups, but now he speaks in front of groups of thousands. And he still gets a little bit afraid every time. He says it's just our body's way of preparing us for peak performance. So once you get out there, once you start talking, you know what you're talking about, more than anybody else in the room. There's nothing to be afraid of. And even if the worst case scenario happens, like, I had a class one time where some guests showed up who had been at a baseball game all day, and they were drunk when they got there, and they were heckling us the whole time. And so, that was pretty much the worst class I ever had. But just kept making eye contact with the people who were trying to listen to us. and speaking to them and powering through it. So in the future, you can better prepare that hostess to, support you in that situation and get control of the room a little bit. But, that's probably the worst class I had, and we still had enrollments and we still got through it and no one died. So that's all you can ask. But anyways, you have to get through those fears and realize that the people who are succeeding are afraid too, but they've pushed through it and they've gotten those quick wins. So of course there's some oils that could support you in that. The Peace Blend is so great for those anxious feelings. Balance helps me, just kind of get my focus and, make me feel calm. Wild Orange helps me stay alert and motivated. And Motivate Blend, which is a good one too. And of course there are lots of other ones, but those are just some 4 that we're going to highlight. Okay, number 2, self-doubt and discouragement. So I think we would experience a lot of self-doubt, if we don't think we know what we're doing, we're not qualified to teach about this, we're not, we could disqualify ourselves. I've done it a million times. I've thought, oh, well, I don't, fit the part of what the people's expectations might be. But what I like to do, is think about success being for me. So, before we would be in caught in patterns of maybe if you grew up poor, you think wealth isn't for you. If you failed in the past, you would think success isn't for you. And you have to get, again, just like fear, you have to push through it and you have to see that success is for you. And I like to look at the leadership magazines. That's a couple I know. And Carrie taught the first class that I ever attended. So, and I know that she's just a normal person. And she was telling me a long time ago that her turning point when she decided to do this was looking at the leadership magazine and thinking, hey, these people are just like me. These people who are diamonds. Diamonds are the people who are featured in each edition. So these guys are presidentials. And then in the back, there's golds and the other ranks are recognized in there. So, but when you look at the diamond section, you can see some of their tips and you would see how everyone's different. And so you'll see some people who are like you and some people who are nothing like you. And maybe wouldn't even be likely, in your opinion, to succeed at this business. So it's really good to look at all those different experiences and imagine yourself in there and imagine, what advice you'll give when you're a diamond and the obstacles you overcame. So it's really easy to get discouraged. And sometimes, if we have a lot of self-doubt and discouragement, we have to consider where those voices are coming from. If someone has said something to us in the past, a friend of mine in doTERRA who's wildly successful had a close family member tell her, no one will buy those oils from you. And guess what? They did. And once she was at about Blue Diamond, that close family member sat in the front row of a class of hers and enrolled. So just power through it and take that discouragement and just kind of turn it on its head and use it to fuel where you're going. Prove people wrong. If somebody's saying you can't do it, just zip it and get on to work and just let them think what they're going to think until you prove them wrong. So another thing that might be discouraging is when you schedule a class and don't have a good turnout. And what you would do, if one person shows up, you treat them like they're the most important person in the world and you offer them what knowledge you have and serve them and see how you can help them. If no one shows up, you take that time that you've chunked out of your night, like an hour and a half or whatever, and do some other activities that are related to your business. So you can follow up with people to whom you've given samples. You can work on scheduling another class and inviting people. You could eat the whole pan of brownies that you made. Just enjoy yourself. Just kidding. Don't do that. Eat some, but not the whole thing. But whatever, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get on with it, use that time wisely, and it's not a failure then. Think about, how you could be more, effective at inviting next time and following up with people. But other than that, use that time wisely. And so as long as you do, it's not a failure. If you're co-teaching with another team member, use that time to troubleshoot with each other and talk about, the things that you could do better. That's what's so beneficial for doing this together, is we can bounce ideas off of each other and things like that. So those first two roadblocks were both negative emotions, right? So fear and self-doubt and discouragement. So the thing about getting discouraged, there was another point that I was going to make. As far as like having classes and not having one show up. And so you have this long-term goal or expectation for yourself, like, I want to be a diamond. But that is made up of lots of little steps. So if you were training for a race, for example, you wouldn't expect to just get off the couch and run, a 5K without, if you haven't conditioned for it first. So the same goes with your business. You're going to have to jog and walk, and you're going to have to build up your strength and endurance, and you're going to have to get better at some of those skills. But the thing is that you don't give up. As long as you want to keep going, just keep going. So it's easy to turn a negative into a positive once we understand what's really going on. So if we have a lot of self-doubt and discouragement, there's a lot of things we could do to rewire those negative scripts in our brain. Tell yourself, be aware of how you're thinking and what you're telling yourself and what you think about yourself, and rewrite it, because it's, if you're overly critical of yourself, it's going to just kind of keep pouring out of you and affect the quality of your life. So take a look at the negative. They're usually pointing you to something where you can grow. Okay, so take a look at it, understand it, unpack it, and move forward. Okay, so here are some oils where you can get through those negative emotions. So cheer is a good one, bergamot, sandalwood, and juniper berry. And juniper berry is actually, we know it as really good for cleansing. So it's good at cleaning our filter organs and our skin and things like that. But it's also good for clearing your liver. So, and some emotional, people who study the physiology of emotions would say that negative emotions are stored in our liver, which is really interesting. So as long as we're taking care of our liver, it might be a good idea to use some juniper berry and release those negative emotions. So try it and see what you think. So the first two are those negative emotions, and the second two obstacles are excuses. So we could come up with a lot of excuses. I personally love excuses, and I need to get better at pushing myself through them, because excuses are so comfortable. But I recently heard Chris Hogan say that an excuse is a reason wrapped in a lie. And I was like super convicted by that. So think about that for a little bit. So it's excuses. We could support each other in our excuses sometimes, but what we really need to do is challenge them. So this is another thing from Michael Hyatt that I love. So he talks about the 3 zones of goal setting. So your goals could either be comfortable, which are not going to help you grow, which is what an excuse is, right? It's very comfortable. And then they could be delusional. Like you could be all over the place with your goals. You want to run a marathon this year. You want to develop, help your children in certain ways. You want to grow your business. You want to do all these things, and you're just all over the place. So it's kind of, if you're not coming up with concrete things to move you in that direction, you're in the delusional zone. Where you need to be is the discomfort zone. You need to have a clear focus on where you're going, and you need to do the things that are pushing just beyond that comfort. And again, here's another fitness analogy. Like when you're lifting weights and you want to increase the amount that you're lifting, you get a little bit more uncomfortable every time. So if you keep just lifting what's very comfortable and you never stress your muscles too much. The things that actually make our muscles grow is when they get little tiny tears in them. And then when it heals, that's where the strength comes from. So we have to push through and get into that discomfort zone where our body is just a little bit achy after a workout. That means it's working, right? We all know that. So apply that to your goals too. So the first excuse we're going to talk about is I don't have time. All right. So we need to unpack that excuse too and really look at it and see, just like if you were making a financial budget, you can make a time budget and assess how you're spending your time. So start, take a week and look at it and kind of just block it out. You can use a calendar from the dollar store that's kind of like this, and just kind of write down the things that you do and be honest with yourself, just like you would have to be if you're budgeting your finances. You could look at your phone and go to settings, and then your battery. Where is that? So you go to battery, and then you go to battery, and it will tell you when you click on the little clock by battery how much time you've spent on certain apps. So for example, if you spent several hours on Facebook, that's not really a good use of your time. Because even if you're running successful Facebook groups for your business and running a business page, you shouldn't be spending that much time on it. So take a look at that, assess where you're spending your time, and then eliminate those or reduce them. Consider what can be done more efficiently. So batch cook freezer meals, crock pot meals, things like that. So you do all your chopping on like Sunday afternoon or something like that, where you have a big chunk of time. That way every day you aren't caught in this, couple hour long process for making dinner and things like that. And don't trade what you want most for what you want right now. And that is something we could probably tell ourselves every day. And that would go along any goal setting that we're talking about. So if you what you want most for what you want right now. So what you want most is to be, a certain weight or fit into a certain size. But what you want right now is a big piece of chocolate cake, right? And so does that align with where you want to be in the end of at the end of your goal? Also, what I want most is to be a doTERRA diamond, but everybody's flaking out on my class, and it would just be easier to stay home, and I would just love to curl up and binge on Netflix or something like that. So what I want right now would be to be lazy and to watch TV and turn my brain off. But what I want most is to be a doTERRA diamond, right? So apply that. It could apply to anything you're talking about. And do some time blocking. And so that's what we talked about. The first step of time blocking would be to assess how you're spending your time. And the second step of time blocking would be to take your blank calendar and write in the things that you have to do, your obligations. And here's a visual representation of that. I'm sure some of you have seen this story where we think our life is full. So you make time for what really matters. We always do. We make time for what's most important to us. So if we have our obligations, like we have a regular 9-to-5 job, we have volunteer obligations, we have to get our kids certain places at certain times, whatever those things are, you have to, prepare meals every day. You have to do laundry. You have to do those things. So those would be like the bigger things. So those are the golf ball size things you would put into a jar, and you fill it up and the jar looks full. But is it? No, because you can put smaller pebbles inside, and those will fit in all the little nooks and crannies. So those would be the things like your doTERRA business that can wiggle in. So, we have a free night here, here, and here. I'm going to put those in. And you have to be proactive, and you have to plan ahead of time, because something else is going to wiggle into those nooks and crannies. You're going to spend that time some other way, unless you make it a priority. So, and then is it full? Yeah, the jar looks full then, but you could really fill it up with liquid, and that would fill in even more. And then finally you could fill in with some sugar or salt or something that would dissolve, and that would fill in even more. And so it looks full when it's just full of golf balls, but really there's a lot more space in there that we can fill in And also when you're doing that time blocking, remember to schedule in some margin. Remember to schedule in time with your children and your family. If you have a spouse, prioritize each other, because that's where your strength is going to come from. That's what really matters in life. And, you have to make time for it. If you write in all of the other things and leave that out, it's going to be a disastrous slope. Okay. So when you are time blocking and you have a chunk of time to work on your doTERRA stuff, or before you teach a class, apply your Intune. Okay. It's going to help you focus better. It's going to help you be more effective and make use of that time. One of the things that I like to diffuse would be rosemary and lime or spearmint, and those are going to help open up your airways and get your mind working and things like that. So those are, especially rosemary, it's really good, especially if you're a teacher or something like that. It's great for your cognitive health. So the fourth excuse is, the fourth obstacle, which is the second excuse, is I don't know anyone. And so I thought of Tom Hanks in Castaway. And sometimes we feel like that, and we're talking to the same person over and over, and it's a volleyball. Would you like some essential oils, Wilson? And the thing is that we're not on a deserted island, and that the average person encounters 2 new people each day. So look around you, be friendly when you're out at the store. If you see a mom struggling with her kids, have a sample of lavender you could give her with your business card. You could also say, if you want to give me your email, I will email you 20 things that you can do with lavender. And she would, probably give you her email, because we all want to learn what that is. So be friendly when you're doing just your everyday stuff, errands, when you're at kids' activities, waiting during dance class or soccer games or things like that. You can volunteer somewhere to meet like-minded people, go to a networking group in your town. Always have those samples and cards handy, and always have a class on the calendar so that when they aren't interested, you could say, hey, to learn more about this, next Thursday, meet us at this place and we'll tell you all about it. Excuse me a second. So if we don't think we know anyone, we do know people. And if you've already talked to all of your family members, and they're all on Lifelong Vitality, like all of mine are, because I want to take good care of them, ask them for referrals. So if you know people who aren't interested in the business, ask them for referrals, and you can offer something to them. I offer like a Starbucks gift card or iTunes gift card or something like that, which would be, worth like 10%. So if somebody enrolls with a family physician kit, I would give them like a $10 gift card or something like that. It's really, and I still get half of that fast start, and it benefits them and it works great. And we never run out of people. You could also start just attracting more people in person by being friendly and being happy. Here's my law of attraction blend that I've been using, and it's awesome. So a little bit, I do like a couple drops each of sandalwood, white fir, black pepper, patchouli, bergamot, and grapefruit. And I dilute it in fractionated coconut oil, and that's been my perfume. And people always like it. So it's really happy and grounded and just a little bit spicy. So then if you don't know people in person, say you live in a really small town and you don't have time to travel, or you have small children or something like that, you could use the internet to grow your business. And there's artful ways you can do that without being obnoxious, without spamming your middle school friends and sending them Facebook messages that are cold and just like you're using people. Don't do that. Please don't do that. So you would create a landing page that always directs back to your own doTERRA link. You could use a public Instagram account. You can use a professional Facebook page that would be public, and you could use Pinterest. And when you're using Pinterest, I use a combination of things that from doTERRA corporate and my own content that I'm creating for my blog. And it's really beneficial. Be careful on Pinterest that you're not repinning things that are directing back to other people's links. Okay. So you're pinning a lot of recipes from other companies or other doTERRA wellness advocates, and you are probably getting some sales for them. So be careful about sharing those because you're basically giving them free advertising. Be creative, be educational, and always direct back to your link. Those are my thoughts for that. Another thing that I mentioned on our leaders page, doTERRA certified site thing is up and open to anyone now. So you used to have to be a gold wellness advocate to participate in that, and now anyone can do it. So I would highly recommend just set up a WordPress. If you need help with that, I can point you to some resources, and get your certified site up so that you are a credible doTERRA person. Always put people first. So like I was saying, don't spam your middle school friends. Just seek to add value to people, not extract value. It's really great that we have a nice compensation plan and that we do get paid to do this, but learn the compensation plan and then put it out of your brain. So when you are teaching a class, don't think about, how much you could make off of which kit people get. Find the right kit that works for them. Run your business like a business. Be professional. My dad was in sales. He sold industrial products. So first he had an industrial lumber business, and then he got into industrial greases and oils, and not essential oils, but motor oil and things like that. And he never sold anything to anybody he knew. You know what I mean? He just went into places and he began to understand how they worked, and he would solve problems for them. So that's basically what we can do too. We can, go into places in our neighborhood and understand how they work and think about if they could benefit from an essential oil diffuser in their waiting room, if they could benefit from some On Guard cleaner concentrate. So the Taekwondo place at the front of the neighborhood, they could probably use some cleaner concentrate to clean their mats and things like that. So problem solve for people. How can what you offer make their job easier? And it's going to be a really great partnership. Treat your team like family. You want to give them grace, and you want to nurture their gifts. You want to understand that they're all different, and plan accordingly. Like with my children, I know that they're all different, and I know that they have different strengths, and they can do the same task in a different way. So play on those strengths, right? So your team members, some people might be really good at hosting giant classes with 30 people. Some people might be better at doing one-on-one. So nurture those gifts. You push them a little bit to challenge them and help them grow. But basically, we're all different. So recognize that. So one of our biggest temptations is just to settle. So like I was talking about, our excuses, the way we check out. Life is really stressful right now. And so we want to just check out and watch, old movies or something like that, and think about simpler times, but don't sacrifice what you want most for what you want right now. So sometimes I found this Venn diagram a few years ago, and I was so focused on it. And then I realized that sometimes things are a purpose for us, and sometimes it's a fundraiser. So doTERRA for me is not my whole life purpose. I do love it, and I do okay at it. I'm paid for it, and the world definitely needs it. But it's not my complete passion. It's not my complete purpose. I know that God has other things for me to do. But this is a really, really great fundraiser for my big long-term dreams. And so for some people, this is their purpose, and it allows them to do other things. But for me, I recognize what it is. So figure out what it is for you. Is this your passion? If it is, that's awesome. And then if it's not, look at it as a fundraiser for your big dreams. I know everybody has dreams, and we're afraid to talk about them, or we've dismissed them as, not really for us. It'll never be, realized or whatever. But think about it, because this is a really, really great fundraiser for your big dreams. So these are the things. So if you want to start connecting those dreams, and sorry, this light, the sun's shifting and coming right in that window there. So if you want to make the connection from where you are right now to where you want to be long term, these are the things that you should be doing. So if you're doing these things, they're going to put you on the path for success. So every day, consider what you can read, listen to, and watch to educate yourself more on the products. Use your products. Consider what you could read, listen to, and watch to grow as a leader. So if you haven't had an opportunity to lead in different capacities, even if you have, everybody can keep growing as a leader throughout your life. So, and I can point you in the direction of those resources. Think about who you know or who you see or who you encounter who could benefit from the oils. What businesses in your area could use a diffuser, on-guard cleaner, supplements, things like that. And then who needs support? Who have you already connected with the oils, who needs some more education about them? Who needs help with setting up their loyalty rewards? I see people all the time, well, not all the time, because I usually catch them. If somebody's spending $20 one month on their loyalty rewards and spending like $600 the next month, I know they don't know about loyalty rewards and they aren't using it as best they can. Because if we keep that consistent over the course of months, we're going to earn more back. So, I hate when people do like a $5 order one month and then do a $500 order the next month. I know that they're not prioritizing and basically budgeting how they should be to get the most out of it. Anyways, who needs a wellness consultation and who needs mentored in the business? So take time to look at those things. Consider how you use your downtime, again, and fill those little things in, tasks that don't take very long. My kids listen to personal development in the car all the time. It's fine. They're going to be the most well-rounded 2 and 4-year-old, be able to take on the world. So here's a sample 14-hour work week from Elise Sedevy. She is like a double presidential diamond. She's really successful and she's led a lot of people to be successful. So this is her schedule. If you don't have 14 hours a week to invest when you're just starting out, you can divide that in half. So break it up over 2 weeks. So on Mondays, she does strategy sessions with her top leaders. And then in the evening, she does a team call. So those strategy sessions would be 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 with the leaders, and then team would be for everybody. Contact and follow up is that peach section. Those are spread throughout different times. They're kind of staggered because you might be trying to contact somebody every day at 1 p.m. because that works for you, but it doesn't work for them. So you're never going to get in touch with them. And then once a week in the evening, do an oil class, like a basics class. And then right after that, have a business basics training. And then also do a continuing education class at some point. And so there's a lot of stuff online that you could tap into as well that I'm doing. And there's a lot of you who are in clumps regionally who can draw from each other. So that's going to be beneficial as you plan out your schedule, talk with the people in your area who you can collaborate with, because it's so much more fun. It's so much easier when we're sharing those loads. And finally, these are your opportunity, I promised prizes. So tell me your class dates for February. And I want you to have at least 2 classes on the books for February. Register those classes with the New Year, New You promotion so that you can get those freebies for your new people. So the New Year, New You, it's if they enroll in February with 100 PV and then they set up their LRP in March with 100 PV or more, they get 100 free points to spend in April. So that's really awesome. So again, it's like that, watching what people are spending. This is just for new people, but it gets them in the right habit of using their LRP wisely so that they're getting the most out of it. Keep the big picture in mind as you venture into it. Don't settle. Get out of your comfort zone and push yourself just a little bit, and partner with somebody who is going to push you as well. So also don't forget, if you enroll people in January and February, you're qualifying for those free oils that you can't even purchase. So that's going to be another incentive for you. So figure out your calendar for February and tell me what your classes are. For each class, you'll get one entry into our drawing, and get those to me by the end of the week, and I'll get some winners out. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Have a great day, and we'll follow up soon.